Hello? Hello?
Okay.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are hearing you. I think we got your question.
Yes.
I would like to invite the National Librarian to provide an
Yes.
answer to that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Bulus. Actually, one thing you have to know is that majority of the professional, that is professional lecturers, that's LISA professional, who are lecturers, many, not all of them, do not attend this kind of trainings to expose themselves. And many of them shy away from making the students present something that they are not quite sure of. And again, the third one is that some of these students, when they want to carry out research on that line, it is just very shallow that it doesn't provide the needed result, the research output. So instead of allowing you people to do the shallow, but it's you. That's why I said this generation, it is this present generation that will change the trajectory. You are going to change the trajectory. When you move into the world of teaching, in the world of library and information science, it's no longer armchair librarianship. You changing. Many institutions are changing. And by the time you move out, you change them. I think that's, and I want to believe that Nick, whose interest is in AI, that is the guest speaker, will actually throw my light into the
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so I think I will take two more questions. The first from Magui and the second one from Dominic Ishuku. So, Magui, please, you have the stage.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, colleagues. I don't know if you can hear me clearly.
Very well.
Okay, very well. Just want to react from the comment by the first person who asked that question that was answered by the National Librarian. I stand to disagree with his statement. I'm currently running a program in Maiduguri here. I'm one of the PhD students, and you can't say lecturers shy away from AI. Just like you said, so many students can't give in-depth understanding of what they want to even work on. Yeah. And I will want to advise most of us not to bring some issues like this into a big hope like this, as you don't know who you meet and what you say regarding people, and which can be implicative. AI is a new technology, meaning it's an emerging technology. And some of our lecturers may not have gone through the ICT during the orthodox period of librarianship, but doesn't mean they can't provide you the technical requirement needed for you to graduate and have your BLS or MLS or even your PhD. What I want most of us students to understand is the intellectual content of your academic research is 60%, to my own understanding, 60% dependent on you, and then technically your supervisors give you the rest. If you present a topic that's in line with requirement, there is no lecturer that cannot supervise you. So if any of us needs support or help, this is one of the greatest places to find great minds to support academically or to nurture academically, even mentor people, rather than bring up issues and say, I present this and it was rejected. I think maybe due to one reason or the other, I believe academic pursuits is something that has to do with mutual understanding between a student and his supervisor. And from the beginning till the end, you agree to disagree until you have a better work. In fact, you and your supervisor can agree, and at the point of presentation or even defense, some people will give in their input that might even be better or even less than what your supervisor do. That's just my input. So I don't mind meeting the person, since I'm here in Maiduguri to support him and guide him through what he wants to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Question, please, to be brief with our comments or question. Thank you. So I would like to invite Mr. Dominic to ask question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Dominic Alancha, Executive Secretary, Mission for Peace and Human Development in Africa. I want to make an observation. Mine is not really a question, but an observation. That it's important that we ask some relevant questions here. And these questions should be taken to the classroom and not here. Here is just, let me say, the inaugural meeting where professor have given, opening remarks. There are a lot of things we would like to know as to, when will the classes commence and all of that. But questions like the second to the last question, I think it should be taken to the class. The training here is going to avail of opportunity of asking some of those questions that have to do with our academics, our work environment, and stuff like that. So please, I'm urging participants, we should ask relevant questions here. And then, Mr. Aziz, please, the noise in the background, emphasize that people should mute themselves if they are not given opportunity to speak, so that we can hear whoever that is speaking in a very loud and clear manner. That is my observation here.
Thank you so much. As possible to regulate that at our end here. So for the time and for effort so far, we appreciate it. God bless you. So I would like to be on board. However, I would like to section is a that so privileged today. Okay, so thank you so much everyone for your patience. Onikazi is the assistant director of the South Ocean Public Library in Suffolk County, New York. He is a nationally recognized library technology consultant. He also makes most of the collections through training and various technologies for libraries, programs, services 2020. Nick is a past column for Public Library magazine, the Wired Library, and work on the intersection of library and technological implications, including computers in libraries, library owner and marketing, library services, and marketing library services. You can also learn more about some of the work on digitallibrarian.com. So join me with a round of applause. Hansi, Public Library. You are welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me okay? Okay, looks like my video is disabled, but I'm going to share my screen for the for PowerPoint. Okay, looks good. Everybody can see that?
Okay.
Okay, great. So I want to start by thanking you for the invitation today to speak. This is obviously very important. I'm somebody who believes in libraries and libraries' ability to change lives. And one of the things that is part of being a librarian is dealing with information, is dealing with technology. When libraries are doing their jobs well, I think that we are kind of the great equalizer. We help bring equity. And a lot of that is navigating technology and technological change. And we're in a time of accelerating change. So I'm going to talk a little bit kind of about my career in digital services, in working in libraries and technology. And what I always like to remind people is that, experience is really just another way of saying you've made mistakes. You gained experience by making mistakes. So I'm not here to tell you everything I've done is perfect or it's the way to do it, but it's to talk a bit about some of the technological change. Talk a little bit about the change I've seen in my career, and then also, you know, what lessons we can draw from that as you all embark on, you know, digital librarianship, on digital literacy training. So I started my career in the 90s. That was kind of when I entered the librarianship, which was an interesting time for libraries. In the United States in particular, it was a real time of growth. You know, we were adding staff, we were building libraries all over the place. But for me, I pretty quickly entered into the digital services aspect, the technology aspect. Sometimes we're called emerging technologies librarians or tech librarians. And part of that happened simply because I was young. I was a young person in a staff that was a little bit older. And there was an assumption that because I was young, I was techie, which is kind of funny because at the time I was not very technologically educated. I actually was a history major prior to my library degree. And that's important because there is what we learn in school, and then there's also what we learn through experience, by doing, experience. And because I entered in during the 90s, you can imagine some of the changes we saw. 1993, a little over 30 years ago, was the internet, the World Wide Web. And if you want to talk about a disruptive technology that we're still working with, right? It was the internet. And as you might imagine, that changed how we access information and how much information was out there and how much more difficult it became to find accurate information. And when the internet came, of course, there were some people who didn't think we needed librarians anymore because we had the internet. But in fact, we found that the opposite was true. It became more difficult to locate accurate information, to understand this new technology. So a lot of my work at that time was to teach people how to use the internet. Come 1998, that was Google. You had a search engine now that was very advanced. And people also didn't understand how to use it, but made some of the same silly statements, right? Do I need a librarian when I can use the internet, when I can search with Google? But just because people have access to technology doesn't mean that they have the understanding how to use it correctly. And access doesn't mean anything without the knowledge to use it. And that's why some of this training you're going to be undergoing is so important. 2004, Facebook came. A little bit before that, 1 year prior, was MySpace, but that was the rise of social media. And now social media is a way that, for better or worse, many people get information, right? That was another change. And the information is of varying quality. So it's complicating the information landscape that we all work in. Come 2007, at this time, I'm still working as a digital librarian, as a technology librarian. The iPhone was invented. Now, it wasn't the first smartphone, but it was certainly one of the more consequential ones. The Kindle came out. So now, where people used to get their information from a computer, and then from the internet using a computer, it was the rise of mobile devices, right? It was that device in your hand that connected you to the world. And again, we saw that folks had difficulty understanding how to use this stuff, made some of the same bad statements about, do we need librarians when I have ebooks, right? When I have an iPhone, when I have downloadable materials. But at this time, and at every time a new technology came out, the library remained important, actually remained the organization that helped to train people how to use this stuff. And as a digital librarian, my job was to constantly learn new skills on the job, right? I was out of school already, but a new technology would come out. And as you might imagine, when a new smartphone comes out, it's not like you go to smartphone university, right? It's you learn by doing, you get hands-on, you understand how to use a thing, and then you turn those skills outward. And for me, most of my time was spent learning a new technology all the time, training my internal customers, my fellow staff, those other folks I work with, and then obviously outwards towards the community, doing one-on-one appointments with people, teaching them how to use their smartphone, how the internet works, effective search strategies. Now, during this time, what are some of the lessons I learned when I kind of entered the librarianship when I first started working as a digital librarian? One thing is you have to believe in yourself. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but you have to trust in your ability to learn new things. You're all part of a cohort. You're going to be learning all these new digital skills. You need to be confident in that ability to learn a new thing because everything is hard before it's easy. It starts out difficult. There was a time when riding my bike was hard, right? But you need to kind of bet on yourself and your ability to learn new things. The other thing is technological change can happen and it can happen quickly. But you also, just like you have to be confident in your ability to learn new things, you have to be confident in your organization and your library's ability to adapt, because inevitably, we saw with the rise of the internet, people thought that the library was perhaps obsolete. With the rise of Google and online search engines, that the library was no longer necessary. We heard these same conversations with the rise of ebooks and downloadable media. And now you're going to be hearing the same thing in the age of AI. Now with artificial intelligence, there are some folks who think that ChatGPT, for example, is a replacement for a librarian, when in reality, it's just an increased complication in the information landscape that we all work in. And as information specialists, these are just going to be new tools of the trade that we will need to learn. And those voices that, again, are wrong time and again about the value of a library, they'll be proven wrong once again. And along those lines, technology changes, but the library's mission remains the same. We work in libraries because we want to provide, access. We want to provide information. We want to meet the informational needs and the recreational needs of our communities. And technology is just another way of doing that. It's a new thing to learn. It's a new thing to teach. It's a new means of accessing information. Now, I worked as a digital librarian for a number of years, and it was just me. I was kind of my own department. They stuck me in a basement. And as I said, I spent a lot of that time learning all of these new technologies that were coming out and then training my fellow staff. Eventually, that grew into a department. So I actually became a manager at that point. So digital services, again, these were technology kind of trained librarians. We were now a department. I also, after that, became a library assistant director. So I moved up in administration. But again, this was a time of rapid technological change. In 2010, during this time, the iPad was invented. Siri came out. That was, your first voice assistant that was really for large amounts of people, that was accessible. New social media came out, Instagram. 2012, Oculus and the VR system. So we had the rise of virtual reality during this time. Amazon Echo smart speaker. As much as we talk about artificial intelligence as a new technology, it certainly has grown more complex and more advanced in recent years, but your smart speaker and your voice assistant, Siri and the Amazon Echo, were versions of artificial intelligence that were widely available to the public. Now they've gotten smarter, they've gotten better, as technology does. We had the rise of augmented reality. The Microsoft HoloLens was invented. Very few people bought it because it was way too expensive for any person to spend that much money on a thing. As is often the case, new technology is expensive. 2017 was TikTok. So another social media company comes out, another platform. And entered 2019, we had Disney Plus and the rise and the age of streaming services. That was where it wasn't just Netflix anymore, but all of these other companies come out of the woodworks. And so many people now get their media, their entertainment through, no longer analog media, although plenty of people get it from analog media. But there's a rise in streaming service. And that's something that, in particular, here in the United States, we're struggling with because we don't have all the access to that catalog of movies and music since things have shifted to the digital. So that's a lot of change then. And some of the lessons I learned, partially because now I am a manager versus frontline staff, was that you can't do it all. All of you are getting critical training on media, on digital literacy, learning new technical skills. And there will be an instinct for some folks, for some of your coworkers perhaps, to give all the technical questions to you. And that can work in the short term, but inevitably you will get swamped with more work than you can handle. So one of your challenges as you learn new skills is to teach others. That's kind of like a force multiplier. It's a way to make your impact felt more strongly, is gain skills and then teach others so that you can free up time to learn the next thing, the next new technology, and again, repeat that cycle of training others. As a manager, I also learned that you can't hire your way out of problems. There was an instinct at some of the libraries I worked at that when a new technology came out, we would try to hire somebody with that new skill. That solves our problem in the short term, but because technology changes and advances all the time, we're always fighting the last battle, right? Then a new technology comes out and you can't just keep adding staff, adding staff, adding staff. We found that the more effective skill was people who, yes, they were techie, but demonstrated a history of being able to learn new things and teach others. That was the critical skill, was that flexibility, that confidence to take a chance to go into the unknown and learn the next skill as it came out, to be self-taught. So this cohort is going to get an excellent foundation in current skills and then needs to have the commitment to continue to learn because we know that technology continually advances. And one of the ways to give yourself that time to learn new things is to train others. So you're not the person who gets bombarded with every technology question at your institution. Now, along those lines, technologies evolve over time, and we have to evolve with them. When the internet came out, that was not the end of the internet, right? It evolved, it grew more advanced. It, coincided with social media, with e-commerce, with the ability to buy things online, with things like artificial intelligence now. So it's never just new technology comes out and it remains in that state. The computer eventually became the mobile device. So again, it's a journey. When we adopt new technology, one of the tricks is trying to identify when do you actually invest in a technology, knowing that it always changes, knowing that new things come along, and knowing that technology can be quite expensive. You'll have to kind of determine when is the right time to invest. And one of the things I've settled on for the kind of the good time to invest in technology is that when it's organizationally affordable, when the library, when the university is able to afford it, but it remains prohibitively expensive for an individual user. So when a person is unlikely to be able to purchase something themselves, but an organization has the funds to purchase it, that as a matter of equity is where you can provide critical access to somebody. And we know that expensive and affordable mean different things to different people, to different organizations. So it's knowing your community, knowing your organization and what it can afford, investing when those two kind of, spots align, and then providing that critical access so that people can learn by doing, getting hands-on. And then finally, because I led a team at this point, I found that incremental change leads to better outcomes. You know, it's easy to get excited about technology and try to run ahead, but you don't want to ignore critical needs of people. And you also want to, change is hard for folks. And so, from a change management perspective, going a little bit slow and making sure you're bringing people along with you and that you're building on early successes is important. When you introduce a new technology, you know there are naysayers, right? There are folks that don't want to do it, that maybe are frightened by it, or just it's upsetting to have to learn something new. And some of those folks will wait and see if you stumble, if you make mistakes, because then that empowers your naysayers, your folks who say no, who don't want to do a thing. Everybody likes to be part of a success. So if you take a measured approach as you introduce a new technology and you bring folks along, it is easier to have early successes as you go incrementally and then get more ambitious and build, you know, your team around you. So that's also a suggestion I have, because I've seen some libraries that they had all the things you would think they would need for success. They had very healthy budgets, they had a large staff, but they went too quick. They weren't thoughtful about their approach. And very quickly, those little mistakes snowballed, grew and grew. And some of the folks who maybe didn't want to learn a new thing and invest in a new technology were empowered instead. And then more recently, you know, I did a number of years as a digital librarian. I built the department. I went on to become an assistant director. And, you know, part of managing is you do less. You get less hands-on, right, by nature. You tend to tell people what to do, and you don't do it yourself. And I recognize that as that happened to me, I began to lose skills. I know, as Professor Ananobi said, you need to get hands-on, you need to do, or else these skills, they atrophy, they go away. And so I saw my skills beginning to decline because I was sitting in a chair for a lot of my day telling other people what to do. That's not really a way to expand your mind. Because of that, and because I love technology, I love libraries, I began to work as a technology consultant in addition to my library job, because I wanted to remain hands-on. I wanted to remain engaged with technology. So part of that was, you know, research, was writing books, was maintaining a technology column for Public Libraries magazine, where I got to engage with other libraries. I got to see what they're doing, got to see best practices, and I felt more connected to the profession than, like I said, than when I was sitting in a chair telling people smarter than me what to do. I also began a website, thedigitallibrarian.com, and a LinkedIn newsletter. And if you know that newsletter or that website, I do talk technology quite a bit. And it may be of interest to you. I never want to sell my own stuff, but obviously it's a free website and it's where I talk about technology. During this time, though, what did I see? Well, we saw an explosion in digital collections. Into the 2010s and beyond, we saw more ebooks, digital audiobooks, streaming services. And that was a lot of the growth industry, in particular here in the United States. And just because stuff is widely available doesn't mean it was well understood. We still have people that are struggling with how to download information, how to download an ebook, how to use an audiobook, how to stream a movie. And so that was partially why I wrote one of these books, was instructing folks on how to train others to do these things. We also saw more recently increased virtualization. Here we all are on a Zoom call, right? And one of the things that has really pushed video conferencing forward and collaborative workspaces has been the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. For many of us, closed our offices for a time, took away in-person services. And we know that conflict, struggle, crisis oftentimes pushes technology forward. And that is one of the things that came out of COVID-19 was increased digital collections, more collaborative workspaces, remote work, remote schooling. And that's a new environment that we also have to look at. And there'll be times when virtualization makes sense, and there'll be times when it doesn't make sense, when in-person is the way to go. And you now have two very different types of users as a library professional. You have the folks who like to do things in person, who like physical, they like the print book. And there's the folks who like to get their information virtually, that are very transactional. They want to do things quick. They don't like people sometimes. They prefer to do things remote. And we have limited resources. And that's another thing you're going to have to kind of balance. And then obviously the big disruptive change in recent years, and I think going forward, is artificial intelligence. This is as big a change as I think the rise of the internet. It is an incredibly disruptive technology. It is poorly understood by most folks. There's a lot of hype. There's not a lot of understanding all the time. And libraries have always done really well with navigating disruption, providing equity. And when your community, when your users are confused, when they're scared by a technology, when it's poorly understood, it is so critical that we learn. And again, much of this learning is experiential. It's getting hands-on, learning by doing, playing with some of these new things like ChatGPT, like text-to-image generators, generative AI, understanding what they are, how they work, some of the concerns we have, privacy concerns, safety, so that we can, ethical concerns, the copyright concerns, understanding that so that, again, we can teach others, so that we can position ourselves as the AI navigators in our community, the ones who understand and can bring accurate, trustworthy information, can provide a space for our users to safely experiment with these technologies. So much new technology tends to be expensive, but artificial intelligence is one where, at least initially, there are plenty of tools that are widely available at little to no cost. So it is unusual, but you have a new technology that is on everyone's mind that, at least from a financial standpoint, doesn't carry a high cost. And that's an incredible opportunity. Now, during this time, as I was a library consultant, I speak to libraries, I travel all over the place. I see a lot of libraries doing a lot of different things. One thing, though, that has been pretty consistent is libraries around the world. Our organizations struggle to match training to technological change. There is very few libraries out there who have figured it out, that have everybody trained up right to the newest technology, because the journey never ends. The technology always changes. So it's a state of continual learning and catching up. And so you need to prepare for that. The journey never ends, and it's okay to fall a little bit behind, but the commitment to catching up is super important. The other thing is, I worked with lots of libraries that have these great reputations and everybody knows them, but oftentimes real innovation happens quite quietly. Not everybody brags about their successes. Not everybody has the outlet to kind of advertise everything they're doing. But so much innovation happens quietly, and innovation is really just meeting your users' needs, is providing the best library, the best skills, the best services you can provide, given the restrictions that are placed on us, staffing, the financial limitations. Innovation is doing the best and providing the best you can within that framework. As I work with technology, the other thing I see that's important for libraries is policy. A policy is a way that you can actually add some clarity to unclear situations. Artificial intelligence, how is it going to be used in your libraries, right? You need to provide clarity to your fellow colleagues on what's appropriate use. For your users who are worried about privacy and data security, they need to know how we're going to be doing these things. So as much as I hate writing policy, it's not my favorite thing to do. Throughout my library career, I've seen the importance of it because it gives you a sense of a roadmap for how you're going to behave. It adds clarity to a situation that is often unclear as technology changes. And then there's a saying that perfection is the enemy of progress. When you're rolling out a new technology, now I did say to be cautious about it, but sometimes we try to have everything perfect before we move forward. And that's not the way anything works. That's a formula for not getting anything done. So sometimes a rollout's going to be a little messy. Training is messy, but committing to change and kind of powering through is important. It's easy to wait till everything is known, till every technology is figured out, but then you spend your days waiting and never acting. So a little bit about what lies ahead. You know, you're all entering into a cohort. You're going to be learning some new digital skills, digital literacy, really foundational technology skills that are going to serve you well. But what do I see coming? Well, there's challenges and there's opportunities. You can definitely expect the rate of technological change to continue to accelerate. We've seen every decade that's come, and since the advent of the internet, the rate of change has increased. With the age of AI, there's a lot of thought that the next 5 years will have as much technological change as the preceding 30 years. So it doesn't get any easier. I'm not trying to scare anybody off, but we know that change is coming. We know that change is accelerating. And that's partially why we're committing to this, right? Artificial intelligence is going to be the next great disruptive technology. This is a technology that, like the internet, it displaced some workers, right? People did lose their jobs. It created new jobs. It changed how we access information. It changed the quantity, the amount of information, and also the quality of information. In the age of AI, where you have deep fakes, where it's easy to make fake images, where artificial intelligence can hallucinate and make up not true information, our jobs as discerning consumers of information has become more difficult. Our skills are more in demand than ever before. Media literacy, information literacy is more important. So this is going to be the new technology you're going to be navigating in the future. So much of this feels like you need new skills, but oftentimes traditional media literacy skills are still important. Understanding where, you see an image on the internet. Well, where did it come from? Who did it come from? Just taking a closer look at it. What is the context? A reverse image search can still do a lot, even in the age of AI. And your challenge, obviously, is, with this rate of change accelerating, is to quickly gain the new skills. And again, the critical piece is then to turn them outward. You learn, and then you quickly teach others, because you need to then free yourself up to learn the next thing. I just want to give a little parting advice. And first piece of advice I have for you is to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. Not knowing stuff is uncomfortable. And you need to just accept that that's going to happen, that there's going to be a new thing that comes out every year, every month, that you're not going to know. And you're going to have to get past that discomfort and dive in and learn it so you can teach somebody else. You need to let the pursuit of digital equity guide you. Digital equity, the idea that people have the access to the technology, to the bandwidth, the hardware, the software that they need for full participation in society. If you let that be your guide, that's going to help you understand what technologies to adopt, where to prioritize. So understanding your community best, understanding its needs, and then putting your investment in time, in training, appropriately is going to serve you well. I know that Professor Ananobi did allude to this, but it's so important to have an environment where people are comfortable asking questions. When you don't know a thing, it can be uncomfortable to ask because then you reveal your lack of knowledge, right? It feels like it's a vulnerability. But if you don't ask questions and you don't get answers, you fall behind. And because of that, it's super important to get comfortable asking questions, but also do your best to make the environment one that is comfortable for others to ask, to say, I don't know. If you're aggressive with somebody, you say, why don't you know that? That poisons the atmosphere. That creates an atmosphere where people are not willing to acknowledge when they don't know something. And I've seen teams in libraries that have just broken down over time because of an unwillingness to ask questions, to be gracious to others, to admit that they don't know something. So do your best to ask questions when you don't know something and to be generous to others with your knowledge. You're gaining critical skills and they'll serve you well, but they'll serve you the best if you're expanding that knowledge base by training others, by making people comfortable coming to you and telling you what they don't know. And ultimately, you're all going to be innovators, and you're going to be innovators by providing the best library services you can, working within constraints, and then doing your best to deliver an excellent library. So I just want to end by really wishing everybody the best of luck. I'm somebody who believes very strongly that libraries change lives, and you're all in a position to change a lot of lives, to gain essential skills, and really make an incredible impact, to yourself, to your colleagues, to your communities. And I just want to wish you all the best of luck in that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Nick, for that brief and exploratory speeches you just delivered. I think we all have been able to pick one or two things from what you have said so far. I see your own story as a roadmap for some of us. And many of us that have worked closely with you and have been following you for a very long time, we know quite well that you did not start as an artificial intelligence enthusiast. You started from somewhere, but with time it grew up to your interest in artificial intelligence. And that is what National Library is trying to do. We understand that many librarians want to they want to fit into the technological world, but they don't know where to start or how to start. And I believe that this speech has actually boosted the interest of many of our participants. So thank you so much, sir, for this interesting speech you just delivered. And on behalf of the National Librarian, I'd like to see if the National Librarian if you would like to say one or two things before you leave and before we give you our token. National Librarian, Kaufman, are you still online?
What else can I say? Thank you very much, the coordinator. Thank you so very much, Nick. It is a route that anybody that who wants to travel far in the area of technology, we follow. You got it right. That's the route. Some of us
I was so happy listening to you, Professor, because it's always good when everybody's on the same page, and everything you said, I was nodding my head. So
yes, so we appreciate you so much. And I think what you have said is a moral booster for some of us who are not very quick in getting up to grab it. We must grab it, push it to the person behind us, and move on. That is what you have said. And we appreciate you so much for it. Do not hide the skills, the competencies you would have gathered here. Move it on to other people, train people around you, move on to grab another one and push it to the next person. We appreciate you so much. And I think the National Library, we want to continue to work with you, maybe in other areas outside the digital literacy training. We appreciate you.
Sounds good. Thank you and take care.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ma. So on behalf of the National Librarian and the organizing team for the Digital Literacy Training, we would like to present this token to you, Mr. Nick. A Digital Partner Award of Excellence. Thank you so much. We recognize every of your work and how it has impacted the world of librarianship. Thank you so much, sir. And I hope you are in this soundproof space for the one you posted of recent. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. I'm going to sign off now, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so very quickly, I would like to introduce to us our trainers. But before that, I would like to also recognize the team. They are the machine, they are the one working behind the scene to ensure that what we are doing today is successful. So especially, I would like to appreciate Mrs. Asilola Oluwakemi, Mr. Udo Jushukwemeka, and Ms. Afemfuma Mirabel. So thank you so much. You are all wonderful. And also to our trainers, I want to say a very big thank you. And I believe you are going to get one or two things from your wealth of knowledge. So you can get to know your trainers. So this is Damila Redele, who will be taking Foundation of Digital Literacy. We have Linus Blessing. She'll be taking the Wikipedia editing and formatting. Then myself, Elijah Aziz, I'll be taking creation and management of institutional repository. Then Mr. Sylvester will be taking multimedia creation and management, and Dr. Ajayi Stephen will be taking us on social media management. So I'll quickly take us through the structure of the training, how the training looks like, and what is expected of us. Okay, so our training is in sessions. We are going to be having live sessions, basically 2 live sessions per modules. Before I go through this, I stumbled through a particular comment the other time where someone mentioned that they thought today's session will be practical. So it is not practical, it is an onboarding ceremony, and we want to use the same opportunity to introduce the training platform and the schedules to our participants. And also, I can see that many people who are currently on with us have not been able to register. So there was a registration link that was sent sometimes in December 15 specifically, and it's run through December and January, and we were able to select our cohort out of about 3,500 applicants. However, the National Librarian has also made efforts to ensure that everybody benefits from this particular training. So for every live session, every theory and practicals that will be taken, we'll be uploading on our YouTube channel where you can go through all of those contents. So please, even if you were not selected, you can still have access to all of our training materials and videos. So thank you so much. So to the training proper, we are going to be having 2 live sessions. The first session is the training proper. The second session per modules will be for recap, questions, and answers. Then we have a dedicated WhatsApp group, which the cohort 1 has been added to. The particular WhatsApp platform is just for questions and answers, and when you want to make clarifications on any issues. So aside from that, we have our training platform. We are making use of Google Meets. We are going to be showing you how to navigate that particular platform. we have sent out the link to the participants, and you are expected to join the links for each module. I observed that some people just joined 1 or 2 links. You must click on all of those 5 links for you to be able to have access to every modules on the platform. So permit me to quickly share my screen, and you can see how it works. Okay, so we got this comment that Muslim students we like to go to mosques. So kindly know that this session is being recorded and it will be uploaded on our YouTube video. We are going to send this to Please, can we see my screen?
No.
No, we can't see you.
We can't see your screen. We cannot see your screen.
Okay, so I'm trying to. Oh, sorry for that. I think we are having some technical issues at our end here, and our technical team are trying to resolve that. So in order not to waste our time here, we will just explain verbally why we provide a demonstration video later, which we'll be sending to the training platform and also upload on our YouTube channel. So the training platform is Google Meet, as I have mentioned earlier. It's not coming. Okay, so our training platform is Google Meet, and it has been designed in a modular way. So we have 5 modules specifically. Under each modules, we have units. So we have up to 5 units. So there are practicals, we have content uploaded on them, and you have assignments assigned to it, and every of those assignments has a deadline. That means for module 1, you must complete your module 1 before you can move to module 2. Same thing to module 3, 4, and 5. And aside from that, you have practicals attached to each modules. So we have provided a detailed video demonstration on how to handle some of these digital literacy skills, from scratch. Try as much as possible to prepare it for novice, so that even as a novice, you'll be able to do one of 2 things. For instance, on Wikipedia, even without knowing anything on Wikipedia, you should be able to create a username. You should be able to add articles, as well as add make citations, add 2 common. You should be able to add images and some other items. And for instance, also we have on multimedia, we have been able to create a video demonstrating how you can create graphics, promotional videos, animated flyers, and like, even if you don't have knowledge of that before, you will be able to do that now for your organizations. And also on institutional management, institutional repository, we have been able to provide video demonstration on how to create and manage a disk space. It's common among libraries and other information organizations across globe. So we have been able to provide all of these things. You will be required to, go through them, and also assignment has been attached to each of those practicals, which will be expecting you to replicate and submit on your training platform. So we are going to, because of our technical issue and for the purpose of our Muslim brothers that will be going to pray, so we will provide a detailed video to demonstrate how the platform works and what you are expected to do on the platform. You'll be able to navigate it. We try as much as possible to make it easy for you to use, because that is the essence. We want you to get what we are dishing out to you. So thank you so much. I would like to entertain 2 questions now before we bring Ms. Mirabel on board for our closing remarks. So please, if you have a question, you can raise your hand. Thank you. So we have a question from Mr. Dominic.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Aziz. I can see that this training program is really, really loaded, and we thank you for bringing it our way and selecting some of us. Now, my question is, the class, what time to what time is the class commencing, so that we'll be able to program ourselves and schedule ourselves for the classes. So we need to know the time the class is commencing, the time the class will end.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dominic. Sorry, my mind escaped that. The class is starting by February 7, which is on Wednesday, February 7, 2024, and it's going to run for 8 weeks. 8 weeks. Yes. So I think till March ending. We are going to send you the schedule. I'm going to send you the schedule. Is that clear? Okay, so we have Mr. Tunde also. Please, can you ask a question? Thank you.
Yeah, you are welcome, Mr. Moderator. Once again, my name is Lawal Tunde Ayola. At initial stage, this thing is like miracle, but at the end of the day, I'm enjoying your lecture. Please, my question is duration of our module. Before the date of the module, please alert us, rather the mail, because we can get the prepared. It's like advice. It's not a question per se. Like my own, my time is so scheduled indeed. Give us the notification at least between 24 hours for that before the program. We are able to get ready for that thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Lawal Tunde. Okay, so the training platform has been designed in a way that before the commencement of any module, you will receive a notification. You will receive a notification on the training platform, and also you receive on your email. However, remember that an engagement platform was created on WhatsApp. We always give you all information you need. All notification will be made on that platform. And the second question you asked is what, sir? I think your question was 2.
Yes, you have already answered the report.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, so we have Mrs. Glory Okiagu.
Hello, coordinator. Well done. Please, I want to find out the other cohorts, cohort 2 and 3. I suppose they will start running when you are done with cohort 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Okay. So I think that is all the questions we have for now. Do you have questions in the chat session before we call on Ms. Mirabel? Okay. Oh, okay. So I would like to give you brief information about the other cohorts. We have cohorts 1, 2, and 3. So this is our pilot cohort. We are starting with cohort 1. And for each cohort, we have 50 participants selected. We have 250 for cohort 2, 2, and cohort 3. So information has not been given us to the dates for the commencement of the training for cohort 2 and cohort 3. However, we will provide you all those information as stated in the mail sent to you. So I think that is the information we have currently for cohort 2 and cohort 3. However, for those that are not privileged to be selected, like I said earlier, we have your emails. We will continue to send all of our training materials and live sessions to you on email. You can through them go to our YouTube channels and watch them. Thank you so much. So permit me to invite Ms. Mirabel for the closing remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Elijah. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Today's gathering has been nothing short of extraordinary, thanks to the inspiring words from our esteemed National Librarian and CEO, always setting the stage for excellence. Our gratitude also extends to our distinguished guest speaker. Your expertise has ignited our passion for knowledge. To our dedicated participants, your engagement and commitment is the driving force behind this training. Let's all embrace the challenges ahead with the same commitment, knowing that together we share a brighter future. Thank you all for your invaluable contributions, and may our journey of learning continue to illuminate the path ahead. Best wishes to everyone here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Please, you can continue to engage us on all our social media platforms. I can see some people still raising up their hand. If you have questions, you can drop it on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any platform. Will give you an immediate reply. So thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate you all. God bless you.
What's happening?